Today's recipe is cinnamon rolls, but first we have to make the dough. And to make the dough, you need flour, sugar, yeast, milk, warm milk, a room temperature egg, and melted butter. Let's get started. First, you want to add 3/4 of a cup of warm milk, probably about 100 or 110 degrees, because if it's too hot, it'll kill the yeast. We're going to add the sugar to the milk and stir. We're going to add the yeast to the sugar milk recipe. We're going to stir it up, and then we're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes to allow the yeast a chance to activate. Now we're going to add 1/4 cup of butter, melted, an egg, stir it up. And then we're going to add the flour. This is 3 cups at first, you might need more. I'm going to stir this up. So this is the dough all mixed up. And what we're going to do is we're going to knead it now on a floured surface until it forms a nice ball. And then you're going to put it back in the bowl. You're going to cover it and keep it in a warm, dark place, and you're going to let it rise until it's double the size, probably about an hour. So once the dough doubles in size, we are going to roll it out as thin as we can get it, probably about 1/2 to 1/4 of an inch thick. And your children can help you with this. It's a lot of fun working with dough. And then we'll add the ingredients to the top. Okay, I've got the dough all rolled out, and if you can see, it's pretty big. It's probably 16 or 17 by 16 or 17 inches. It's pretty much a big square. And I've had butter that has been sitting out at room temperature for the past couple of hours. And butter is actually going to be the first thing that you add. You can do this with your hands too. You don't have to do it with a knife. It's actually it would be a good thing for your children to do, to add these ingredients. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get them as close to the edge as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and cover the whole surface with butter. I found that the most efficient way to do this is to wash your hands really well and actually use your fingertips to spread the soft butter all over the surface. And you can see that I try to get it as close to the edges as I can. So now that the surface is covered with butter, we're going to get brown sugar, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to spread the entire surface with a thin layer of brown sugar. So let's complete that now. Again, children would love the idea of being able to spread this brown sugar over the entire surface, and I try to get it as close to the edge as I can. The butter actually helps the brown sugar stick. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the cinnamon, and we're going to sprinkle the cinnamon over the entire surface of the dough. So don't worry about getting it on the edges, because we definitely want every bit of this surface to be covered with the cinnamon. Okay, that looks good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start small, and we're going to spiral this up. But we want to make sure that we get it nice and tight in the beginning, and then we're going to roll it all the way up. See that I'm trying to keep it small and tight, and I'm rolling it across the entire surface. And eventually I'm going to roll it all the way up until the end, and I'll have a long column of dough. You can see we have our spiral finished. You could cut off the edges to make it nice and neat, but I don't want to waste any of the dough, so I'm even going to use this section right here. So you're going to need round cake pan with parchment in the bottom and very well buttered so that these things don't stick. I've got both pans if I need 2 pans. We have 2 ready. They are buttered and they have a layer of parchment in the bottom to keep the rolls from sticking. And now I'm going to go ahead and try to get them as close to the thickness of the pan as I can. And I'm going to go ahead and cut. If it's easier for you to use a ruler and to measure these out, that works too. Whatever's best for you. But I'm gonna just try to use my eye and get these as close to being the right width as I can. Okay. Now you can see what it looks like. Looks like a cinnamon roll, right? Now we're just going to put these right up against one another in the pan until the pan is full. And I have all the cinnamon rolls in here. Now they need to rise, and I'm just going to cover them with a clean towel and put them in a warm, dark spot so that they can rise. We need to preheat the oven to 350. And our cinnamon rolls have risen to twice their size, and we're going to stick them in the oven for cooking. And we're going to let them cook for about 40 minutes. So I added the butter, and I'm going to add a ½ teaspoon of vanilla, and I'm going to add the powdered sugar. Slowly. Beat it until it's all added together. And then we'll put it aside until the cinnamon rolls are done, and then we'll put it on top of them. They are finished baking. I took them out of the oven, and then I turned them immediately onto this plate. And I have the icing here, and I'm going to coat the top of them while they're still hot with a little bit of icing. And I'm going to save some so that when I serve them, the individual pieces, I'll put more icing on them. So I'm just going to spoon the icing on top. And they're still really hot because they just came out of the oven. And I'm going to save a little for when I serve them. So I hope you enjoyed the cinnamon roll recipe, and why don't you try it?